Hello and welcome to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio. Researched and written in Indianapolis by Dr. Adrian Peterson and produced in the studios of WRMI Shortwave in Okeechobee, Florida. I'm Jeff White. Today on Wavescan, the Titanic tragedy, a race to the rescue. We'll take you to Muscat, Oman, where the recent High-Frequency Coordination Conference took place. We'll also tell you about an upcoming meeting of the National Association of Shortwave Broadcasters in Washington, D.C., and our QSL of the week, the first QSL from a new station. The tragic sinking of the majestic passenger liner Titanic in the Atlantic Ocean south of the island of Newfoundland occurred more than a century ago. Yet the details of all the associated events still capture the interest of people all around the world even to this day. The Titanic sank on its maiden voyage from Europe to the United States exactly 103 years ago, with the death of 1,500 people, though more than 700 survivors were rescued by another ocean-going passenger liner, the Carpathia. The Titanic was considered at the time to be the largest ship afloat, and it was stated by some authorities to be unsinkable due to the many safety features that had been incorporated into its construction. However, just before midnight on the night of Sunday, April 14th, 1912, the ship struck a huge iceberg that tore a massive 300-foot-long gash in its hull. 2.5 hours later, in the early morning of Monday, April 15th, the ship sank and lay in two pieces at the bottom of the Atlantic, more than 2 miles down. Much research has been accomplished by Titanic historians, and a complete log of all wireless transmissions in Morse code has been compiled, together with the time and the source of each transmission. A total of nearly 30 ships participated in these wireless transmissions, which involved the Titanic and its shipboard transmitters under its Marconi call sign MGY. It had been thought for some time that none of the wireless transmissions associated with the Titanic tragedy ever reached Europe. However, more recent research has revealed that some of these transmissions had reached at least 3 widely separated locations in Europe. Over in Wales, at the time of the original distress signals from the Titanic, amateur wireless operator Arthur Moore in Gallagher's Mill near Blackwood heard the CQD de MGY and subsequent messages. He reported the sinking of the Titanic to the local police, but they scoffed at his information. However, Marconi himself subsequently learned of Moore's reception of the Titanic signals, and Moore was invited into employment with the Marconi Company, which he served for more than 30 years. Another employee of the Marconi Company in England who heard the wireless traffic associated with the Titanic tragedy was Lieutenant Colonel Baton Hippisley. Somewhere around the year 1910, Baton Hippisley obtained a wireless license from the British Post Office, and he operated his own amateur station under the call sign HLX. At the time of the Titanic events, he was on duty at the Marconi wireless station at the Lizard in Cornwall, call sign GLD, and he heard the wireless messages from MGY Titanic. Then, over in Vienna, Austria, the philosopher and scientist Professor Carl Unger also heard the CQD and SOS messages from the Titanic. The American radio magazine Broadcasting showed a photograph of the primitive Unger wireless equipment in their issue dated June 1st, 1937. When the news about the Titanic tragedy became known among the many ships that were within wireless range, there was a race to the rescue, and the first on the scene was the Carpathia, call sign MPA, which plucked 705 people from the icy cold water. However, there was another race that was involved with the Titanic events, and that was the wireless station MCE, which was located at Cape Race on the southern coast of the island of Newfoundland. Cape Race is located at the southern tip of the Avalon Peninsula. It is an elevated flat plateau with 100 feet cliffs at the leading edge, descending down to the ocean. The name Race comes from the Portuguese word raso, meaning flat area, a plateau. A beacon light was installed at Cape Race in 1851, and this was replaced by a regular lighthouse 5 years later. The current lighthouse building, which today is a heritage site, was constructed in 1907. Because of its location, Cape Race assumed a high significance for transatlantic shipping, and at the height of its development, several important communication facilities were installed at this location. Among these items were a major lighthouse, which is these days a World Heritage Site, a foghorn that could be heard at sea some 25 miles distant, and a telegraph station that linked into the cable system running from Newfoundland to New York, as well as an important Marconi wireless station. The telegraph station at Cape Race was installed in 1859, and at that time the custom was for passing ships to drop sealed cans containing mail and newspapers into the water. These cans were then retrieved by a motorboat operated by telegraph personnel, or by local fishermen. Important news obtained in this way was then telegraphed to New York for widespread dissemination to newspapers throughout the United States. The wireless station at Cape Race was installed by Marconi himself, and it was inaugurated in 1904 under the call sign CE, the first and last letters of the station's location. In 1912, before the Titanic events, all Marconi wireless stations added the letter M in the front of the call sign, and CE became MCE, though in subsequent years the call sign was amended to the Newfoundland designation as VCE. During the Titanic events, all three of the wireless operators at Cape Race were involved in the Morse code communications: Walter Gray, J.C.R. Godwin, and Robert Hunston. Immediately before the collision with the iceberg, Jack Phillips at MGY on the Titanic was communicating with MCE and passing personal and business messages. Due to the fact that the Titanic was operating on local time at sea and Cape Race was operating at Eastern Standard Time, confusion has sometimes come in as to the exact timing of Titanic events. However, around 20 minutes before midnight, the first CQD distress call was transmitted from the Titanic, and from that time onwards, Cape Race was the focal land point for wireless traffic, both with the ocean-going vessels and also with various land-based locations in eastern North America. Over the years, the wireless station at Cape Race underwent its own tribulations with two destructive fires, 1910 and 1913, though on each occasion it was rebuilt. The station was finally closed in 1965, and 35 years later, a replica building was constructed on the site, and it has become an important historical location known as the Myrick Historic Center. We mentioned earlier in this topic that 3 amateur radio operators in Europe heard the wireless signals during the Titanic events on the other side of the Atlantic: Professor Carl Unger in Vienna, Arthur Moore in Wales, and Lieutenant Colonel Baton Hippisley, HLX, at the Lizard. Jos Jacob, VU2JOS in Hyderabad, India, reminds us that another important radio anniversary occurs at this season of the year on April 18th. This year provides the 90th anniversary of the founding of the International Amateur Radio Union. This date, April 18th, is celebrated each year as World Amateur Radio Day.
You're listening to Wavescan from Adventist World Radio. Send your comments and reception reports to Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229 in the United States. That's Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229 in the USA. Or you can email us at wavescan@awr.org. Our email once again, wavescan@awr.org.
Thank you, Ellen. In recent editions of Wavescan, we've told you a bit about the A15 High Frequency Coordination Conference, or HFCC, which took place in Muscat, Oman, during the first week in February. At that meeting, Jerry Plummer of WWCR and I spoke with Salim Al-Nomani of the Public Authority for Radio and Television in Oman, which sponsored the meeting of shortwave station frequency managers. Well, Jerry, we're here in, I think it's the Muscat room, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Here at the hotel in Muscat, City Seasons, at the FCC conference with a very important person to interview today.
Indeed. Salim Al-Nomani from the Public Authority of Radio and Television. You are your engineering director?
Yes, I'm advisor of engineering and responsible for administration and finance.
And you are the principal organizer here of the HFCC ASBU ABU conference.
Yes, I'm happy to be there. It's very kind of you coming from states or from all over the world to Oman.
Well, it's very kind of you to invite everyone. Why did you want to have an HFCC ASBU conference here?
You know, Oman is a very stable country. Though in the Middle East, people know that it's just war and killing and this. This is different to you. You see yourself, Oman. It's very quiet. People are charming. I mean, I don't want to say that for myself, but you have to say it by yourself. You know?
Well, I think we can say that,
yes. We have even, communicate between U.S. and Iran. And we are mediator in this way. Oman is having very good relation with everybody. And because in Oman we are now in the middle of between Asia, between Europe and Australia, so it's the best way to have global conference.
Now, to give people a general idea, we're here at the southern end of the Arabian Peninsula. We're just south of Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
We're just east of Yemen, and then there's also Dubai is bordering Oman, and then the Sea of Oman.
On the other side of the coast.
Right. Yes. Iran is very close, no?
Yes, very close. On the side of the other sea. So we have Oman Sea. The other side is Iran. On this side is Muscat.
And in looking at a map the other day, I was kind of surprised because we're also very close to Pakistan and India, right?
Right. We are very close to Indian continent, so not far from that.
So in Muscat is the capital, of course.
Right.
And there are, over 1 million people here, I think, huh?
It's around 2 million in Muscat, yes. Wow. And the total in Oman, 4 million.
I see.
Maybe 1.5 non-Omanis, 1.5 million.
Of the 4 million total, yes.
So 2.5 Omanis.
I see.
And the rest of them are coming mostly from the Indian subcontinent?
Yes, they are doing other different kind of jobs.
And of course, the big business here is oil, right?
Well, Oman depends on the oil. But other thing like tourism, but that not oil maybe could be 90% of income. But when the oil is going down, so we'll be starving maybe. No, we will be okay.
But so have you diversified the economy here then because of the oil situation?
Yeah, we have to find other means of income. So finding other means means like we used to have other means, which is like copper.
Right.
Maybe some kind of agriculture. So we export some like banana and so we have greenhouses here. Okay. And we have dates, so we used to export fish, say gas maybe could be.
And you have frankincense.
Yes, that one. Maybe when you go to the south of Oman, maybe you are going
yes.
You will find that frankincense there. We have coconut on the other side.
Coconut.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And here is palm trees.
I see.
Yeah.
And the weather is very nice here, but I guess there's very little rain this time of the year, right?
Right. The weather in winter is around 20 degrees, 22, 23. But in summer it's very hot. So reaching to 47, Wow. Maybe it could be 40, 50, starting from 40 to 50 even.
That's warm. That's definitely warm.
Right.
But it's very pleasant here now and very close to the ocean, of course, and many mountains, I guess you would say,
Right.
We had a nice city tour last night as we were recording.
They were very kind to put us on a city tour with the double-decker buses and toured us to many very interesting areas. And certainly today they're kind enough, we're going to visit the high seas, so to speak.
Right. Today we have a cruise to see Muscat and Matra. So we'll see we'll see the sunset. So maybe we are leaving around 5 o'clock, sunset around 6. So we'll see sunset in Muscat, which is having good views, hopefully.
Very good.
Okay.
We're extremely appreciative of the courtesies and that you've extended to us and the meeting itself. Many of the, speaking for myself, many of the delegates have not been to Oman. This is my first trip, and I have been very, very pleased with the overall. It's very, very pleasant.
Well, Jerry, we have over 100 people here, something like 120
yes.
people, I think, from what 40 or 50 countries.
Yes, maybe 50 organizations or more.
Okay.
And most of them first time to be in Oman.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's very. Hope they enjoy and you enjoy your stay here.
Well, most of the people, of course, are here to do shortwave frequency planning. Oman has a shortwave service as well, right?
Right. We have one station. We used to have two stations, but we got hurricane maybe 7 years ago, so we didn't repair that station. So we have only one with two antennas, one going to Europe and the other one is going to not South Africa, so East Africa, to Zanzibar and Yemen.
Yes.
Well, in fact, the Zanzibar area used to belong to Oman, didn't it?
Yes, used to be in the 1900, to say 1940. I mean, before from 1800 until 1964. There were a revolution, and then but the British took over at that time, and then, yeah.
Okay.
Recently, now 50 years ago, we are out from there.
So most people here in Oman, apart from their native Arabic, most people seem to speak English as well, right?
Right. Most of them, they speak English, and some of them, they speak Swahili. Some of them, they speak Balochi, which is by the Indian and this. So we have mix of, like USA, I mean, mix of people, and races.
Yeah, that's true. Well, back to the radio. Okay, so we have, is it Radio Oman or what?
Yeah, we have Radio Oman.
Okay.
And we have, we broadcast on different bands.
Right.
FM bands, medium wave bands, short wave, of course, satellite and internet. And with the short wave, we only broadcast with one transmitter according to the schedule is being done there.
And are all the broadcasts in Arabic?
Yes, but we have 2 hours in English.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you know which hours those are?
I think from 6 local time till 8 p.m. So it's at 2 UTC, GMT, to 4.
Okay.
2 to 4 GMT.
Interesting. Now, does Oman consider the shortwave audience to still be an important audience?
Well, it depends on the program itself. If you, doing that for the people, that would be important. But nowadays, it's getting a little bit weak because of it's costly to broadcast on shortwave, very costly. And people, they listen to the most technology via mobiles, and it's very difficult to listen by mobile on the shortwave.
But hosting a shortwave coordination conference, you must still see some future for shortwave broadcasting.
Yes, there are process, especially if there is any disaster, and for disaster relief, that's very important. But we're still doing that just for the purpose having other people in Zanzibar, they can listen to us.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, and some student in Europe. But we can get some, reflection or some feedback from people from United States and from Brazil. I don't know, the second hope, Yeah.
So your primary audience would be Omanian expatriates or
Omanian student and Omani in Zanzibar. Because maybe 70% of population in Zanzibar are Omanis still.
And by the way, the Omani shortwave, I've heard it in the United States. As he says, students and expatriates, you can hear it in the United States. I have before.
Well, Salim, thank you very much for talking with us today. Thanks for inviting everyone here to Oman. I think everyone's had a great time, and if we don't see you in Australia, we'll see you at a future meeting, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I hope you have a nice day here in Oman.
Jerry Plummer of WWCR and I were speaking there with Salim Al-Numani of Oman's Public Authority for Radio and Television, which hosted the A15 season High Frequency Coordination Conference in Muscat, the capital of Oman. More from Oman in coming editions of Wavescan. We want to remind you now about the 2015 annual meeting of the National Association of Shortwave Broadcasters, or NASB, in the United States. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the NASB, and the association's annual meeting takes place May 21st and 22nd in Washington, D.C. Shortwave broadcasters and listeners and anyone with an interest in shortwave radio is welcome to attend. The meeting will be held at the headquarters of the U.S. government's Radio Free Asia in downtown Washington, so those who attend will have the opportunity to take a tour of the Radio Free Asia studios. The tours will begin at 12 noon local time on Thursday, May 21st. In the afternoon, Radio Free Asia President Libby Liu will officially open the meeting, followed by a series of talks about various aspects of shortwave radio. Jerry Plummer of WWCR will give a historical talk about the People's Radio media expansion in Hitler's Germany. Tom Lucy from the International Bureau of the U.S. Federal Communications Commission will provide an update from the FCC. Doug Garlinger, former NASB president, will review the 25 years of NASB history as the Association for Privately Owned Shortwave Broadcasters in the United States. Also on Thursday afternoon, Lauren Libby, president of Transworld Radio, will talk about developments at TWR, including DRM transmissions from their Guam facility. There will also be a slideshow about the recent High Frequency Coordination Conference in Oman and the upcoming HFCC in Brisbane, Australia. Charles Caudill, president of World Christian Broadcasting, will update everyone on his new shortwave facility in Madagascar, which is finally going forward after political changes in the country. And on Thursday afternoon, attendees will have dinner together at an Irish restaurant in downtown Washington. Incidentally, there is no cost to attend the NASB 25th anniversary meeting, and the Thursday dinner and Friday lunch will be provided free of charge to attendees. Of course, you have to pay your own travel and lodging costs, but the NASB has arranged a special rate at the St. Gregory Hotel, right beside Radio Free Asia headquarters. More details are available on the NASB website, which is www.shortwave.org. Then click on Annual Meeting. That website address again is www.shortwave.org. Click on Annual Meeting. Looking now at the agenda for Friday, May 22nd, things will begin at 9 a.m. with an update on Digital Radio Mondiale by Calvin Carter of Continental Electronics and Christopher Rumbaugh of the DRM North America Yahoo Group. Gerhard Straub of the U.S. International Broadcasting Bureau, or IBB, which operates the Voice of America and its affiliated stations, will give an IBB engineering update. A.J. Janacek of Radio Free Asia will talk about using the Ubuntu operating system for radio applications. Dr. Kim Elliott of the IBB will talk about shortwave audience research, just who listens to shortwave radio, and his radiogram program on the VOA. Also on the NASB agenda on Friday, May 22nd, John Taylor and Ray Robinson of shortwave station KVOH in Los Angeles will tell about their new venture with the Voice of Hope in Africa and Israel. After lunch at a Chinese restaurant around the corner from Radio Free Asia, the NASB meeting will continue in the afternoon on Friday with a discussion about NASB matters such as updating the association's website, the location of the 2016 annual meeting, a 25th anniversary QSL for listeners of NASB member stations, and a possible NASB listeners meeting in Australia. Again, you can find complete information about the NASB 2015 annual meeting on the website www.shortwave.org. Click on Annual Meeting. And the dates for that meeting again are May 21st and 22nd of 2015. Several of the persons you hear regularly here on Wavescan will be present there in Washington, and we hope to see many of you there as well. Well, as our QSL of the week, we turn to Jose Jacob, VU2JOS at Hyderabad in India again, and the QSL letter that he received from the large shortwave station located near Panaji in what was the Portuguese territory of Goa. On April 15th, 1995, Jose heard this news station for the first time at 9:50 a.m. on 15290 kilohertz, and he posted his report to the station in Goa, but no reply was forthcoming. Over a period of time, Jose submitted this reception report several times to the station by post, but always without receiving a response. Finally, he sent the reception report to his radio friend in Goa, Flavio Raposo, and asked him to deliver the report to the station in person. In response, Jose received a QSL letter from AIR Panaji, which is verified by the Assistant Engineer, All India Radio, Panaji, Mr. G.N. Shetty. It is understood that this QSL letter was the first issued from this station. These days, AIR Panaji is on the air on shortwave with the use of 2 BBC transmitters at 250 kilowatts each, and QSL cards can be received in the usual way from the AIR head office in New Delhi. We end today's edition of Wavescan with some music from Hava Alberstein of Israel. Thanks for listening to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio, researched and written in Indianapolis by Dr. Adrian Peterson. Next week, French radio in the South Pacific, New Caledonia 4, another American radio station. We are scheduled to have our Bangladesh DX report also, and our QSL of the week will be a first-day QSL from another shortwave station. A reminder, we have several QSL cards available for you for listening to this program. Send your AWR and KSDA reception reports for Wavescan to the AWR address in Indianapolis, and also to the station your radio is tuned to, which may be WRMI, WWCR, or KVOH, or to the AWR relay stations that carry Wavescan. Our address is Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229, USA. Our email address is wavescan@awr.org. That's wavescan@awr.org. I'm Jeff White at WRMI in Okeechobee, Florida. Till next week, good listening, everyone.
שיבטח עשה שיוהב תן